Welcome to the Deck Tech. I'm Zane, and this is Death Shadow Aggro. So if you've seen Death Shadow Aggro lately in the GP and Star City circuit, you'll see that it's been picking up a lot of steam, and it is really rolling people. So you'll still see, first we're going to go from left to right, and we're going to talk about each card of the deck. So let's first talk about the land base. The land base is a fetch land, shockland mana base with some two basics, forest and swamp, so you can search for a path, and you can also use traverse to open world to find them. This mana base is meant to hurt yourself because you're playing Death Shadow. Death Shadow is designed so that the more you hurt yourself, the bigger it is, the better it gets. So basically you want to shock and fetch a lot of the time, so you won't want to bring those Ravnica shocklands in tapped. You will want to bring them in untapped, even if you're not going to use them. Let's move to the zero drops of the deck. Mishra's Bauble. This artifact is sweet. It helps with delirium, it helps with growing your goyfs, and it helps with card selection. You can do some cool little tricks with this. You can see what's on the opponent's deck, so you have more information. You can also see what's on the top of your deck, and then you can fetch or not fetch accordingly. That's really, really cool interaction that I like. So let's move to the 1 mana spells of the deck. Death Shadow, the premier threat of the deck. It is a 13/13 minus X per X is your life total. This creature is sometimes a 12/12. Now pop a little team or battle rage on it, or just attack a few times and you've got the game. Next card is Fatal Push. Fatal Push, all-star from Aether Revolt. Destroy target creature if the converted mana costs 2 or less, or 4 or less if Revolt is activated, and there are lots of ways to get the Revolt. You also see that there are 3 more Fatal Pushes in the sideboard, since in the aggro matchups you'll want more Fatal Pushes. Inquisition and Kozilek and Thoughtseize are discard sweet. Thoughtseize is actually better in this deck because it hits more, and it also will grow your Death Shadows. So they're both really, really cool. The goal of the discard is to strip the opponent's game plan and also disrupt it so they don't have removal spells for your large creatures that are going to attack them dead. Next card is Tarfire. This is a tribal instant goblin spell. It is a shock with an added bonus of working towards delirium and growing your goyfs with the tribal. Traverse to open world is the delirium payoff. It can search for your Tarmogoyfs, your Death Shadows, your, in this version, Renegade Rallier, and your Street Race, as well as your sideboard cards. It also can search for a land in a pinch. Collective Brutality is a very versatile card. It helps you against your burn matchup. It also is just a card that is very useful a lot of the time. It can change its use, and that's really cool about it. Temur Battle Rage. Temur Battle Rage with your large creatures such as Tarmogoyf or Death Shadow just says, I win the game, because you can't really block well. You block with your 1/1 on my 12/12, boom, 21 damage. So that's really, really cool. That's a really good way to win the game. It just smashes your opponent down. This is traditionally a 4-up in the very combo-driven version. This is a more grindy version of Death Shadow aggro, since there's no more Ataxium Probe. So this card has gotten a lot better, or worse, actually, if you think about that. Tarmogoyf Premier. What is there to say about Tarmogoyf that already hasn't been said? Tarmogoyf is very large in this deck since you have so many different types. So it's usually a 5/6 or larger. Abrupt Decay is a versatile removal spell that you can get rid of, your Rest in Pieces, your other opposing threats. It's a very good spell. Abrupt Decay has never been like, oh no, that's just an Abrupt Decay. Abrupt Decay is very good. With current meta and so many Eldrazi, it gets a little bit worse. That's why there's only one of them. Let's look at Liliana, the Last Hope. Liliana, the Last Hope is a sweet, sweet card. You'll see that it is -1, -2, -1, and that removes a lot of creatures in the format. You also see that it can -2 to bring back a creature. That's really very good with this deck, since a lot of these creatures are removed from the game from your opponent, and you can bring them back and threaten the opponent even more. I like Liliana the Last Hope over Liliana of the Veil in this deck. I think it serves a better purpose and is stronger in the deck overall. Kolaghan's Command. What can we say about Kolaghan's Command? Ever since printing, it has been amazing in Modern. It does everything, including returning your creatures so you can keep smashing down, as well as being good against Affinity, being good against, combo decks, making them discard a card, shocking them at the end. So this card is awesome. I love Kolaghan's Command. Next card is Renegade Rallier. This card is spicy. It brings back your Tarmogoyf, it brings back your Death Shadow, it brings back your Mishra's Bauble, brings back lands. It's really, really cool. I like how this interacts. I haven't seen this in some versions, but some versions have this, and I think this is very, very cool splash to be able to grind through those Abzan Jund decks. Street Wraith is very good in this deck. Not only does it cycle you for 2 life, so you want to pay the 2 life, and you get to draw another card, but you can also bring it back with Kolaghan's Command, and you can search for it with Traverse Overwhelmed in a pinch. So the Street Wraith is really cool, at a premium in this deck, just as it is in Living End. The sideboard is a very sweet place we're going to take a look at. First card I want to highlight in the sideboard is Ranger of Eos. Ranger of Eos to get your Death Shadows is really, really good in a grinding matchup such as Abzan or Jund. You can Ranger of Eos, get 2 Death Shadows, and then they have to answer a 3/2 and both your Death Shadows. Really cool tech. I really like it. You also have Lingering Souls against the grinding matchups. Lingering Souls is really good for grinding them down, as well as it's good against Affinity and other decks, just as having more flyers like Burn. You change your threat base, and you're able to just fly over. And they expect one huge creature, and then you're just like, poke, 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 you're dead. Well, you got him. I know a lot of Rhetoric is really good against the decks that are popping up that, the Storm or the Eggs decks. And the cool thing about these creatures, you can search for them with Traverse the Ovenwall. So there's only 1 in your sideboard, but there's really 5 copies because of Traverse the Ovenwall. Same thing with Kataki Warmage. Even though I traditionally like Stony Silence against Affinity, having the 4 traverses makes it so you actually have 5 Katakis in your main deck in your sideboard. I think the same can be said about Fulminator Mage. You just have more copies of Fulminator Mage because you have Traverse Ovenwald. You can have Traverse Ovenwald turned on by turn 2, so you can go turn 2 Traverse Ovenwald, turn 3 Fulminator Mage, blow up your lands. And then you can get it back with Kolaghan's Command and Liliana the Last Hope. Ancient Grudge is great against Affinity, and it also serves in another of other matchups. Fatal Push we discussed earlier. It just destroys things. It's better. It's really good in the mirror. It's really good against other aggro decks such as Affinity, Infect, the like. And Surgical Extraction, important against the Dredge that's still around, as well as other decks like the Reanimator deck, or it's very useful if you want a Fulminator, Tron land, and get their Tron lands. So it's really, really cool. Surgical has a lot of uses. Don't over sideboard in Surgical Extraction. That's a common mistake by some people, but it's a very good card. And it's very useful in a lot of circumstances. So thanks for joining for this deck tech, and I hope to see you next time.